From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Happy Monday, and I hope everyone had an amazing 4th of July holiday. If you're still on holiday today, you've bridged the Friday into the Monday. I applaud you, and thank you so much for doing that because, we all need a little bit more time away. So if you didn't have a great 4th of July, I ask why. It was an absolutely magnificent weekend for many of us. But here this Monday morning, we get right back into cybersecurity news. So let's get right into that. For those who don't know, my name is James Azar. I'm your host, and I'm a Chief Information Security Officer by trade. Let's get right into this morning's news. But before we do that, there's a tradition on the show if you don't know. That tradition is this double espresso that I have right here for all of y'all. It's delicious. It's amazing. It gets me through the show. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Perfection. All right. CyberHubPodcast.com. Find everything you want and get out of this show. Plus. So we have our Saturday articles, our Sunday articles. Every Friday, I do a summary, a beautiful email that kind of summarizes all the news from the week in one awesome newsletter that you can actually get. And you can only get that at cyberhubpodcast.com, or if you follow our CyberHub Podcast LinkedIn page and subscribe to our newsletter there. So make sure to do that there as well. Okay, let's get into the news. Ingram Micro confirming it suffered a ransomware attack on the as of yesterday with an updated ransom note with clearer with a clearer version. Is this update? This article has been updated quite a few times, so I'll just say that. An ongoing outage at IT giant Ingram Micro's caused by SafePay Ransomware group that led to the shutdown of internal systems is what Bleeping Computer is learning. Ingram Computer is one of the world's largest B2B technology distribution and service providers that offer a wide range of solutions that impact businesses, anything from hardware to software, cloud services, logistics, and training to resellers and MSPs worldwide. Their website's been down since Thursday of last week, right before the holiday, and their ordering systems have also been down. The company wasn't disclosing what the cause of the issue was. We now know it was a ransomware attack. It should be noted that while the ransom note claims to have stolen a wide variety of information, this is typically really generic in ransom notes, by the way, kind of very much there. But I my heart, my prayer, my thoughts are with the team over at Ingram Micro, because it happened on the holiday weekend. And we I didn't talk about it much last week, and maybe I should have. But right before every major holiday, threat actors typically will deploy. And the reason to deploy is because they're catching people on the way out. You've got people on vacation, you've got people long. So the chances of you paying a ransom or in order to recover are much, much higher to their statistics. And I was speaking to a threat actor some time ago, and then they kind of echoed that sentiment there as well. That when they do launch attacks over weekends or holidays, it's simply because historically people tend to pay up more simply because people just want to get it over with while they're on the holiday weekend without hopefully impacting business and get back online. So systems that are impacted in many locations include the company's AI-powered Xvantage distribution platform and the Impulse license provisioning platform. However, Bleeping Computers also said that other internal services like Microsoft 365, Teams, and SharePoint continue to operate as usual. And again, the microsegmentation of your network cannot be overestimated, cannot be underestimated. It's so critical. When you segment your networks and you're able to just have different various services on your network completely segmented from other parts of your network, you create the type of resiliency that in these types of events, it becomes much more difficult to shut down all of your operations. So you're still able to keep part of your business operating while you're trying to recover the parts of the business that have been impacted by the cyber event you're going through. So we don't know yet how they breached through the network, although they've been, this group, SafePay, has been observed breaching through VPN gateways or compromised credentials, as well as password spraying account. We still don't have that. I'm not going to go down a guessing of what happened here. More information will become readily available. When it does, we'll share it with all of y'all here. But again, really easy to judge these guys. Ingram Micro, very, very easy to do that. But in cybersecurity, they only have to be right once, and you have to be right 100% of the time, which is a mathematically impossible equation. The fact that this happened right before a holiday weekend, again, as I've said a second ago, my thoughts are with the team, the cybersecurity IT team, the infrastructure team, the executive team, and the communications team, and all the employees there that had their 4th of July weekend absolutely destroyed because of this event. So we say that now. Remember, they're a victim of a crime. 2 new pro-Russian hacktivist groups target Ukraine and are recruiting insiders. The groups, calling themselves the IT Army of Russia and TUNET, are using Telegram to coordinate operations, recruit insiders, and even collect information about targets in the Ukraine, according to a new report by cybersecurity firm Intel 471. Researchers said both groups appeared earlier this year and maybe a rebranding of previously known threat actors, though their exact link to past campaigns remain unclear. And again, remember, a lot of these threat groups are decentralized cybersecurity, decentralized cybercrime gangs. So it could be a gang made up of 2, 3, 4, 5 different threat actors that come together to create that one group in order to launch a specific campaign. And then some people could be taken off, some people could leave, some people could say, like, I'm done with this, I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And then other people will step in, continue under a different name, under a different moniker. So the IT Army of Russia first appeared in March of 2025 and communicates via the duty-free cybercrime forum and a Telegram channel with over 800 subscribers. The group posts about alleged attacks on Ukraine sites, leaks stolen data, and recruits insiders working in Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Many of its targets, though, have been small Ukrainian businesses. And again, part of the Russian warfare, part of what we're seeing Russia do, is go after Ukrainian critical infrastructure and now small businesses to really upend and put more pressure on the Ukrainian government by its people, right? So there's that. More recently, the group posting on its channel what it claimed were leaked databases from several Ukrainian and Polish websites, a Ukrainian real estate search platform, a makeup retailer, and even Poland's educational platform were all published there. The second group surfaced in January of this year. It's believed to have around 40 members involved in the attacking and software development and even open source intelligence gathering. The group's preferred tactic is DDoS incidents, and its Telegram has been promoting attacks on government and infrastructure targets in Ukraine, Spain, and the UK. So you see that there. Government employees working for the county of Gloucester in Virginia, that's about an hour, I believe, outside of Richmond, home to about 40,000 Americans. The county sent 3,527 current and former employee notices this week that their personal information was accessed when their systems were breached back on April 22nd of this year. In addition to social security numbers, names, and driver's license numbers, some bank account information, even health insurance numbers and medical information was also stolen during the incident. The county published a warning on April 22nd and 23rd. We talked about it here briefly on the show back then. The group, which has been targeting them, the Black Suit Ransomware Group, has had a history of going after municipalities, and now the notice there as well. Police in Brazil arresting a suspect in connection to a cyber attack that diverted more than 540 million Brazilian reais, or around $100 million, from the country's banking systems, according to authorities. The breach affected Brazil's widely used instant payment system known as Pix, which is used by about 76% of the population. The attackers targeted C&M, a software company that connects financial institutions to the central banks to enable Pix transactions. Police in Sao Paulo said the 100 million loss refers to just one financial institution that worked with C&M, so the total losses could be much, much higher. Officials identified the suspect as Yao Roque, a C&M employee who worked in information technology and allegedly helped others gain unauthorized access to Pix systems. So an insider threat here within that system. And that just shows you how the more interconnection, the more our financial systems becomes relying on more third parties like these apps, right? Like you see people use Zelle, Venmo, Cash App here in the US. Pixis, that Bit in Israel, so many of those other ones. It's so easy for someone internally to just get sucked into that. And you can imagine he probably didn't even make nearly what it's worth for him in terms of what this is going to cost him. Not that there's a price to it, but the threat actors that made off with the money are probably on the run at this point. Police are now trying to identify other members of the group and said at least 4 more people participated in the attack. They're now tracking and attempting to freeze their assets. So far, authorities have blocked 270 million rias linked to the scheme that's just a little under over half. So there's that there again, insider threat. This perception of zero trust and insiders is so critical, not just within networks and how things communicate, but how data is accessed. So important there. Security researchers are now shedding a light on a previously undocumented threat actor called NightEagle that's been observed really targeting China. So this findings are coming from Malaysia's National Cyber Defense and Security Exhibition and Conference, which was held last week. So we often talk about China being the predator in cyber world, well, this specific attack seems to be taking advantage of China. It seems that the speed of an eagle has been operating at night in China, according to the cybersecurity vendor Red Trip team. Attacks managed by the threat actor have singled out entities operating in high-tech, chip, semiconductor, quantum technology, AI, and military verticals with the main goal of gathering intelligence. The company also noted it began an investigation after it discovered one of its customers' endpoints, a bespoke version of a Go-based chisel utility, was configured to automatically start every 4 hours as part of a scheduled task. The attacker modified the source code of the open-source chisel intranet penetration tool, hard-coded execution parameters, used a specified username and password, established a SOCKS connection with the 443 end of a specified CNC address, and mapped it to a specific port of the CNC host to achieve the intranet penetration function. It said that the Trojan is delivered by means of a .NET loader, which in turn is implemented into the IIS service of the Microsoft Exchange server. Further analysis determined the presence of a 0-day that enabled the attackers to obtain the machine key and gain unauthorized access to the Exchange server. Again, why you got to move this maintenance and stuff. So the work is coming from a threat actor from North America, given that the attacks took place overnight in Beijing from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., which are normal business hours in the U.S., allegedly, but they can't pinpoint who it is. So China also kind of getting taken a little bit there. Gives a little bit of confidence, doesn't it? Hacking group with ties to Pakistan has been found targeting Indian government organizations with a modified variant of the DRAT, that's the remote access Trojan there. The activity has been attributed to by recorded future to the Insecate group, a threat actor tracked as tag 140, which is said overlaps with side copy, and it's got 732,000 names. One thing in cybersecurity we love is naming. Everyone gives something a name, and no unified names. I know that CrowdStrike and Microsoft are now working on that, but please, faster. In the latest campaign, which spoofed the Indian Ministry of Defense via a cloned press release portal, marks a slight but notable shift in both malware architecture and C2 functionality. The attack activity demonstrates that the adversary's evolving playbook, highlighting its ability to refine and diversify to an interchangeable suite of RET malware to harvest sensitive data, to complicated attribution, detection, and even monitoring efforts. And again, once you make little changes, and if you know how the system detects what you're doing and you're able to make a change it to give yourself a little bit more persistence within the environment, you win. And this is what these Pakistani threat actors have been able to do in their targets against India. In patching news, Grafana has addressed 4 Chromium vulnerabilities and a critical security update to the Grafana image renderer plugin and synthetic monitoring agent. Grafana describes the update as a critical severity security release and advises users to apply the fixes as soon as possible. The CVEs 2025 59er 59er 6554 619er 1 619er 2. All of them impact the V8 in JavaScript and some of the web assembly engines there as well. And it impacts the security problem impacts the Grafana image renderer versions prior to 3.12.9er and the synthetic monitoring agents to versions prior to 0.38.3. So you want to make sure you get those updated. And finally, Interpol. So we talked about the cybercrime compounds. In Asia, they're huge. Well, now Interpol is reporting that some of them are moving to West Africa, with recent reports saying there's been a ton of crackdown in Nigeria and elsewhere in West Africa, where victims from 66 countries were trafficked into online scam centers with no continent left untouched, according to Interpol, with 3/4 of those victims ending up in Southeast Asia compounds in Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. But now we're seeing them head to West Africa as well. So something to keep in mind there, folks, as this becomes even a greater issue. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live with all the latest cybersecurity news and everything that matters the most. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. Have a great week. I hope y'all enjoyed your 4th of July. Check out cyberhubpodcast.com for all the latest news, highlights, and this very podcast is available there in written format with a good action list. You can go subscribe now at cyberhubpodcast.com. Until then, have a great rest of your day, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in, and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.